What's going on, Illumineers? And welcome back to the Madhouse. And what a great video because I finally did it. I was a runner up. But the title, the thumbnail, it wasn't all clickbait because I was also a champion. I did it and it was super special. It was super awesome because getting this mat, getting the champion mat was at the store that actually taught me how to play the game, Born the Game in Camden, Delaware. It's also the store that I won my first champion mat when I started playing back uh in June, and I went on to win my Ursula champion mat there. And so it was just really special to win this mat here because it'll be my last set champs that I'll be able to attend for a while. So it was really, really awesome to win there and kind of have that little story. But that brings us to the video. I did take SteelSong. I said I wanted to end where I started, and that was with SteelSong. So I took SteelSong, had a really amazing time. There's something about playing a deck that you're just super comfortable with. And when I think back to how comfortable I was with it this time versus the last time and how much I knew the lines better and some of the moves that I make. It's so wild, and that repetition and things like that really pay off. But we're not here about that. We are here. I have the gameplay of my finals match against Green Purple, Quan, which is just an amazing human being. Like he sees me on Saturday at a set champs and he gives me an envelope. I should have had it. It's sitting on the counter downstairs and it's happy. It's essentially for the Vietnamese New Year, and he told me what it translated to, and it was essentially like, have a great year, and just a really amazing guy. He also makes my lore counter boards. He makes these guys for me, so he's also making some for the giveaway video. Speaking of the giveaway video, make sure you go to this video right here where we talk about the set 7 card reveals, the one that says giveaway announcement like that, and just like and comment on the video. Make sure you're subscribed and be entered into your chance to win one of like 5 or 6 different things. So it's free, takes no time, and you can win stuff. So it's pretty good deal. But yeah, just an amazing match. I hope you guys enjoy the commentary, but we're also going to go over the deck list. But before we go on, we have our first, I just started this, and we have our first Disney trivia. We got Jared Maynard 4970 with some Disney trivia. And what was your name again? And what he's getting at here, and he brought something up that I didn't even notice actually, in that there are a lot of villains that you never actually hear their name being said by any of the characters in the show. You just hear it by narration or the villain themselves. So the trivia part of this is uh, tell me in the comments who some of these characters are. Tell me where they either refer to themselves by name or you only hear about them in the narration, things like that. All right. And then when you tell me, also hit me with another piece of Disney trivia for your chance to be featured in the next video. All right, let's jump into it though. If you want the answer to this question, I will answer it at the end of this video as well. So stick around, but let's jump into some pictures because you have to have pictures, right? This is Quan, amazing guy at Born to Game Dover. I'm rocking my Hawaiian shirt with my Stitch hat here. We've got our mats. They wanted us to take this picture before we actually had the finals match, and we're like, no, that's no, not happening. This was really special too because we both had runner-up mats already, but we both really wanted the champion mat, so we had to play it out, and it was just really good and just an amazing human being. And then over here on the right, we have this at Born to Game in Wilmington. I only remember him from his Discord name being Seaman. I believe he's a goon, if I'm not mistaken. I know he was with Wonderful, who is a goon, but really great guy. He just got back from Disney World, where I will be headed next week, and sat down across from me. He's playing Red Blue. No time limit. Game one. Well, we'll talk about it in a second, but really great guy, and I can't even really say great match, and I'll tell you why. It's no shade towards him though. You guys will see. But I love these of these posters. Anyways, let's move on. Let's do the actual games themselves. And on Saturday, started the day off, of course, playing against Red Blue because why not? But I was super excited because it was a Red Blue burn deck, and I was ready for Red Blue burn. I figured we'd see a lot of it, and I believe and strongly believe that SteelSong is in a really good position against a Red Blue burn, and I was. And I put 2-0 on the play, but it might have actually been 2-1. I should have double checked. It might have been 2-1, but and I the only reason I say that is because I remember in game one he had the classic issue of red blue, and sometimes the hand's just not there. But I was just able to control the board really well in the games. They play the shark, but I have the Zeus's for that, world's greatest criminal mind. You don't give Just don't give them a lot of super goof value, and then if your board is wide enough, long enough, they don't ever have time to play manner. And if they do play manner, you're really happy about that because that means they're not digging, they're not playing characters, and it's just a vanilla card that gains them 2 lore. I don't care if you gain 2 lore. I don't care if you gain 4 lore per turn. If you're playing 2 manners, that just means I have time now to play characters. My next matchup was purple, and this was really interesting because at the end of the day, he comes up to me and he's like, "Hey, you never commented on my deck." And I was like, I mean, it was cool. Like, and he's like, "Well, it was only purple." And I was like, "No, it wasn't. It was purple steel because I was playing around Strength of a Raging Fire the whole time." And he's like, "Nope, only purple." And boy, did I feel foolish. So it's something to note about that is when your game is over, ask to see your opponent's discard before they start shuffling. Check. Look what is in their discard pile. Because at that point, if I'd seen, if like, and just, it would have reminded myself that, okay, this definitely isn't Blurple. There's no blue cards. This definitely isn't Purple Steel. And then it would 100% wasn't going to be Purple Red. So that would have clued me into the fact that this was only purple. Because the odds of him seeing no steel cards were slim to none. But I got so stuck in this, knowing the meta that I just assumed it was purple steel, and playing around Strength of a Raging Fire and other steel cards like Pete or Calhoun when they weren't even going to ever come down could have been really bad for me. But we got the 2-1 there, 2-1 against Diggy Diggy Hole. This is one that can be very disastrous because they just go so fast, and if they get those Pete's down, there's not much you can do. And I was able to squeeze it out on the draw. Game one was dreadful. It was just this amazing high roll thing of disgustingness. And then game two and three were more where they were just better games for both. Like neither one of us really high rolled. I don't remember. So we just played it out, and I believe that Steel Song is favored into Diggy Diggy Hole as long as they don't high roll. And so it just worked out really well. And then of course we ID'd the next 2 rounds. One of my opponents was a buddy of mine running a duck deck that I will feature in my Scar recap video, and he was going for his first ever Scar promo. So me and my buddy, we agreed to ID into him so he could get his first ever just his first ever set champs promo, which was super cool. And then going into top 8, I had to face one of my buddies on Blurple, and I was able to go 2-0 on the play. It's just one of those things that Blurple just suffers against Steel Song when Steel Song sees wheels. If they don't, Blurple can develop pretty well. But if I both games, I was able to play a wheel and then play another wheel. And at that point, I recorded the gameplay. I'll probably show it sometime. But at that point, I think one of the games I had like 10 or 12 characters down. It was just disgusting, and there was nothing he could do. It was unfortunate for him. But and then my top 4 match, the player, he had to leave, so he had to take off, and that put me into finals. And for finals, it was a red blue player, and there's no time limit, so I really didn't want to. I know Steel Song into red blue is already a longer match as it is, even with a time limit, and because a lot of time anymore, my game plan is to just deck them out. So it takes a little bit longer. And then so we played game one, and game one I used a wheel. I was feeling actually pretty good on the draw. I had Gaston down. I went wheel in on turn four, and then I wheeled, and then I top decked three whole new worlds. And so I'm just looking at my hand with three whole new worlds, and he had developed a pretty good board as well. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to go home now. And I think it took him by surprise. I don't think he was expecting it because he started to shuffle his deck and things like that, or kept playing maybe. And so I think I really confused him, but I was like, no, man, I'm good. I'm good to go. Like I don't want to play it out. I don't know if he was on ice blocks either. So I probably would have been favored into it. But it was late. It was supposed to snow, and I got my runners up mat, which was the kind of the goal, and I was good to go. I didn't really care to play red blue again. So, really good guy though. This was C-Man. Like I said, I think he's a goon. He's over in from the Philly area, I think. So just a really good guy sporting some Disney gear. And then on Sunday, we had Ruby Steel Pirates. It was took me by surprise what he was doing, but I was able to get it out. Blurple, again, I was on the play, same kind of thing as yesterday, different player, but just wheels do everything. Red Purple, 2-0 on the play against a buddy of mine who had already won his champion mat at another competition, but he was going for a second champion mat. And again, this is a lot like Blurple. If I just get a wheel off, they don't really have much of a chance. And um, I did make a big misplay with Daisy. I daisied after. I forgot to daisy before I played Whole New World, but then I got blessed with my misplay because I daisied afterwards and it was a B prep. So that was pretty neat. Not that it would have mattered because I won before he got to 7 ink, but Red Purple used to be a match that really frightened me, but anymore Red Purple has become a match that I really look forward to as a SteelSong player. And then we ID'd the next two. It was Quan, and then I think my another one of my buddies both times. So we just ID'd, which worked out really well because I actually had to rush home to fix my live stream because I was live streaming the Southside Games video or Southside Games event on YouTube for people. So that worked out really well. I had to rush home. It was about a 14-minute drive, then rush back, going the speed limit the whole time. My top eight opponent, he had to take off and he was looking at an hour-long drive. He got his scar. He was good with that, and he was playing green steel discard. I was on the play. I feel relatively good into that matchup. He was also on I believe he was on the Morph Beast package, so that I feel even better into versus the Cursed Merfolk and Calhoun package. So I think I would have been okay there, but he did have to leave. He is a good player as well. So, but he already had his playmat and he was good with that scar and the prizing that we got from the event. It's actually his brother from the top four. Both very, very good opponents. So, top four, green, purple, two. He got his first. I don't know if it was his first ever set champs promo, but it was his first for Scar. And he played green, purple and did very well. Game two, he just absolutely crapped on me. It was awful. I made a massive misplay, and luckily he rewarded me with a big misplay. I recorded that match as well, so we might look at that. And then finals was my buddy on green purple, and I was on the draw for this one. And that's the match that we're going to look at today. So, deck list. This is the deck list that I ran for both days. I didn't make any changes. I thought about it, but I said, nope, it worked yesterday. We'll do it again on Sunday. Of course, we've got 10 drops. We've got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 2 drops. We've got 3 or 4 Ursula and 2 Gaston. The Gaston overperformed. It was just phenomenal. Ariel always underperforms, but Gaston was great, and we'll kind of talk about a couple changes, but we did go down to 3 Lawrence, and that was to make room for kind of getting more Lilos and Gastons in. And I didn't feel like that was a bad choice. I didn't notice the lack of Lawrence. 4 Pete, 1 Naveen. That's really only there for the mirror. Mostly the 4 Rapunzels because you just have to. For Robin Hoods, I went with a 1-1 on the Aerial Sonic Warrior and the Big Cindy, and we'll talk about that. In on the next side, when I talk about changes I'd make, one, World's Greatest Criminal Mind, and I opted to just kind of switch that out for Zeus, and that's what that changes there. Because normally I run three Zeus and two World's Greatest Criminal Mind, but they both accomplish the same thing in the sense that I wanted World's Greatest Criminal Mind to deal with Maui Half Shark. And sure, World's Greatest Criminal Mind answers Big Cindy, but I didn't think I'd run into a lot of Big Cindy, so I wasn't really worried about it. For me, if knowing that I run so little World's Greatest Criminal Mind, when I see a little Cindy in the mirror, I blow it up like before they get an opportunity. Like I'll blow up a little Cindy before I take out a Gaston or a Rapunzel and things like that going into turn 5 onwards. And then of course we go for Zeus while still on 3 Ursula, and that was really good. So shout out to Pando Sean Leung, who is actually going to be on a video very soon where we do a commentary together. But he kind of recommended for Zeus, and I was teetering on the idea already, just trying to keep my uninkable lower by staying with 3 and going with second World's Greatest. But I opted to go for the morning of, and it worked out. I don't have no regrets with that decision, so that was really nice. Now, as far as changes go, these are the things that I often play with. I really enjoy Calhoun in the deck, but if I was going to run Calhoun, I wouldn't run for Zeus, and I think that would be a mistake. I think sometimes I get caught in what my local meta might be a lot of, and that is a lot more aggro stuff, so Calhoun really pays off. Now, on day 2, where I was playing all those green purples, I do wish I'd had Calhoun, but I'm overall, I think if you threw her in there, you're not making a wrong choice. But I liked having the 4 Zeus just in case. Piglet, this is mostly for the captain tag. I love the captain tag. And then we saw Freddy do really well running a bunch of piglets and that really heavy aggro approach. Um, on Saturday when he won the 10K. So going into Sunday, I really played with the idea of doing that, and ultimately, I'm glad I didn't. But Piglet's always sitting there. She's always a card that is sitting on my desk, ready to be thrown in at any second. And as I say that, I realize I put her in my binder last night. So moving on. So the big Cindy, ultimately, I regret having the big aerial. And the reason for that is the big aerial did help against the red blue matchup on day 1, but Big Cindy just does so much more in my opinion. I say I regret it, but I think if I was to run it again, I'd just go with the 2 Big Cindys just because Big Cindy's just such a card. It's such an amazing card. And maybe when I say this, it's because I'll talk about it in the gameplay video, but I did make a pretty big mistake and got pretty greedy with Big Ariel in the finals match. And maybe so I have a little PTSD about it. But I don't know. I can see an argument for both. Right now, though, I don't know. I like 2 Big Cindys. And then finally, Prince Naveen. Prince Naveen is in there for a lot of the same reason that Ariel is in there, this Sonic Warrior, in that these 3 cards, the Ursula, Naveen, and Ariel Sonic Warrior, are phenomenal in the mirror. And the thing is, I never ran into a single mirror. I never ran into another SteelSong player. So they didn't really pay off. Naveen never really did much for me. So if I was to run it again, and even if I thought there'd be SteelSong players, I think I'd rather have another Gaston. And that's hard though because no, I think I would rather just do a third Gaston. Gaston just really opens up a lot of opportunities into anything that's not green. And it sucks that he only quests for 1, but what he's able to do on turn 4 is pretty awesome and pretty wild. And Prince Naveen is that uninkable, and I do remember drawing him a couple times, wishing that he was literally any inkable card in my deck because he was the worst thing I could have drawn at the time. So that's kind of the big changes I would make. And Earth, those are the changes I think about making. And right now, I'm not going to talk about set 7 stuff. That'll be another video later on because we just don't have enough cards to really go in depth there. But overall, really happy with the list. And I think if you were to pick it up, you would be as well. And then don't forget, you could also just go the Freddy approach and go really heavy aggro with the back SteelSong package. But let's talk about the gameplay commentary. We'll exit this, we'll bring up the video, and we will get in here. So, this is game one. Our judge over here playing some Hearthstone. All right, so this is game one. This is my hand. And when I look at this hand, and I talked about earlier, I get a little greedy with Sonic Warrior, and I think this is one of those times. I knew I was into green purple, so I knew that Sonic Warrior would be pretty good into this. The problem is Sonic Warrior sucks if you don't have any songs. And what is Green Purple trying to do? They're trying to take your songs. On top of that, Sonic Warrior is a 3/8, and Green Purple loves some go-go. So I get Sonic Warrior down, and all it does is hurt me. Not because they get go-go value off of it, but because I can't do anything with her because they might get go-go value off of her. But I look at this hand and I'm actually pretty happy with it for very greedy reasons because right now I have no 2-drop. I do love seeing the Robin Hood. That's huge into green purple because the only way they can remove Robin Hood is by guaranteeing you a draw. Rapunzel is great, almost always going to guarantee value in this matchup. So I'm actually pretty happy with this hand, especially seeing Ariel. I love seeing Ariel into green decks because I generally always put back my songs. So you see that I put back the Pete and the Strength here. And let's see if I can get my camera smaller over here. So I put back the Pete and the Strength and draw 2. And this is where the greed begins. I think a better mulligan there would have been to put back the Pete, the Strength, and the Sonic Warrior, and really just trying to get a 2-drop because I need one into this deck. SteelSong just generally always wants to see a 2-drop. So I get back a Pete and a Strength, or Pete and a World's Greatest, so easy ink at least. So we have that going for us. But moving on. All right, so they play Chris Merfolk. I ink the World's Greatest and play Robin Hood, and I draw a Let the Storm Rage on, which feels awful. That is probably the worst top deck I could have had because that top deck, I can't, first off, I can't sing it. And second off, you don't want songs that early into this deck. And then, of course, we top deck a Strength, or Along Came Zeus. So that feels equally bad. And I'm not feeling super great into this matchup at the moment. So we ink and we pass because there's nothing else that we can do. So life feels pretty rough right now. A snake down does not feel good either. That we don't like to see that. And then of course there is the Ursula. And here he does have an interesting choice to make. And the right answer is to remove the Zeus 100% of the time. But he does consider removing Let the Storm Rage on to reduce that draw power that I might have because my hand is getting a little iffy. You know, if I shift Robin Hood, I already have to lose one of these inkables. And yeah, so he takes the Zeus, which is 100% the right answer because if he hadn't, then I can take out the snake and then he can't do anything about my Robin Hood. It's just going to sit there and gain me a whole bunch of value. So really good choice by him. And then of course he can ink a card and play a Merfolk to put the pressure on. So it's getting a little hot in here, and green purple's doing nasty green purple things that we just don't like to see. One thing to note, I left my cards out there the whole time. The reason for that is it's just a courtesy thing. Like I don't have to, but he gets to see my hand. So just make it easy, right? Be nice to your opponents, that kind of thing. And if you don't agree, you see it on the Continentals, the DLC streams all the time where they just show their opponent the hand, and because it's knowledge they get, all right? So just hey, be a good person. Moving on. I ink the Pete immediately because I know it's 100% useless. And now I have a tough choice to make. And this is where the greed, or I guess, okay, it's next turn that I have a tough choice to make. I did not let the Storm Rage on the Cursed Merfolk. And that may have been a mistake. Because what he can do, that may have been a pretty big mistake. And I'm curious because if I'd let the Storm Rage on the Cursed Merfolk, that means he has to have a crab or a snake in hand to be able to take out the Robin Hood. And if he does have a crab in hand, then he does at that point he would have lost the merfolk and he because I let the storm rage on, and he would have lost the snake. So now he's left with only an Ursula and only a crab on the board. So that feels pretty good. If he had a fox down, then he loses the cursed merfolk because I let the storm rage on, and he loses the fox. And I get to draw a card. So in hindsight, I 100% should have let the storm rage on the merfolk and then just lose my Robin Hood potentially. Almost always, it's probably going to happen. I don't remember if he has a crab or fox in hand, but yeah, I probably should have just done that here. That makes sense. So here we see he put his ink in his discard for whatever weird reason, but we recognize that, or he recognizes that, we recognize that, and we move on. So here, quest for 2, quest for 3. So, and then he should be going to, I believe what he does is bounces the merfolk with a snake. Yep. Okay, he bounces the snake with, oh, because he's just going really big at this point. So yeah, so now I lost my opportunity, right? Because now if I let the storm rage on, it doesn't take out anything and my Robin Hood just gets banished by the 2 snakes. So I lost so much opportunity and then I get punished because look at my inkables. I draw a daisy, which feels awful, and now I have to decide, do I try and be greedy to get this aerial down because the aerial is almost guaranteed to be able to get the shift value down? Or do I keep the Rapunzel to try and get Rapunzel value? Because right now, what I can do is I can sing Let the Storm Rage on my own Robin Hood and then Rapunzel on my own Robin Hood. And that could have been a good option. And I see no songs here. I was hoping for a Strength of a Raging Fire to ink, and it did not happen. So I ink the Rapunzel for the greedy play. And you looking at this game, green purple is a tough match for SteelSong. It's not, I think we are favored into it on the play and on the draw personally, but it is a very tough matchup and it gets even harder when you make a lot of misplays like I have. Like I got so keyed in on trying to control the board with an aerial Sonic Warrior that I wasn't controlling the board. And then now he has this board of two snakes, a fox, and an Ursula, and just absolutely awful when I could have done so many things differently. I could have so many more cards in my hand, but just so many misplays, and he continues to punish me for them like he should. Here he was taking like Mo's advice of wondering, do I be patient or do I start questing out? And he realized he was at that point where he could just start questing out. He knew what my hand was. He knew he had board presence. Like things were just looking really good for him. And here, see again, this aerial Sonic Warrior, if it was a Sin, like I wouldn't have been able to shift it if it was Cindy, but I start thinking, okay, do I take out the snake? But the problem is if I take out the snake, then now he goes Fox into aerial, and that's 7 damage, and then he can go for 7. And then I'm stuck with a, like if he plays another go, he gets 14 off of one character. So as much as I wanted Sonic Warrior for this matchup, it was the worst thing for me to have for this matchup. So here he just probably goes Snake into Robin Hood and then Quest for 2. It's just looking really bad for me. Gets the 1 for Goat. That silly Lilo. So here he's just wondering, can I just quest out? Does it matter if I quest out or do I need to take out the Robin Hood? And I think questing out is, yep, and that's what he does. And I do think questing out's the right move. Like I'm in a position where I have to trade with you. So force me to trade with you. So take the Fox out, we draw, let the Storm Rage on. Here I have no choice. I have to start, but even this feels bad because to use Ariel's effect, I have to I'm gonna have to hard cast, let the storm rage on, so we take out Merfolk, and then we go 3. Yep, so there's the okay, so we sang Let the Storm Rage On, then paid 2 to use her effect, and then we have 3, we play Gaston. So the game's not over, but it's pretty close to over because of Go-Go and the fact that I have a 3/8 on board. So it's just coming back a little too late. That whole new world is not good for me because they can just go wide. Um, and then of course we quest for 2 because we're going to Daisy Trigger, of course, for Whole New World. I use Whole New World and like just just no strengths of a Raging Fire that I was really hoping for. All we see is a Whole New World, so we pay 2 to ping the Cursed Merfolk, and then he's at 15 with a full hand, so I have literally no choice but to seeing a Whole New World. So the writing's on the wall for this game, and I think we can move on. The things to learn from this match is don't get so much tunnel vision on a card that you think you want. And because in the end, Sonic Warrior, its effects started paying off, but it just cost me so much ability to do and control the board like I needed to. And just so many mistakes early on that I made that I got too focused on keeping my Robin Hood alive, too focused on getting Rapunzel or Ariel down when I could have done so many different things to control the board and not ever been in this position. So let's go ahead. We'll move on to the next game because this one is over, and here we go. All right, so here's the opening hand. Looks like we've got Ariel, Lawrence, Robin Hood, Lawrence, Lilo, Robin Hood, and Pete. So again, no 2-drop that we want to see. We do have a 2-drop in Lilo, but it is an awful 2-drop. And right now, I'm really kicking myself for not having those Calhouns that I wanted so bad. The Calhoun I started playing with because of this individual, because I was it just made the green purple matchup into him so much easier on league night, and he's the whole reason that I even uh attempted to play Calhoun. So I'm really kicking myself right now. But as far as this hand goes, we have the Shift Robin Hood, we have the Aerial. So I really like that. I love these 3 cards here. I'm not upset about Lawrence, but at the same time, I really need a 2-drop. So there's an argument to keep 1 Lawrence because it's an inkable, but I'm also comfortable going 4 here to just try and gamble on getting that 4-drop. But I decided to keep the Lilo just for an inkable, and I'm immediate. You could see I'm shaking my head side to side, and shame on me for doing that. Like I shouldn't be giving tells like that. And he even comments on it that like my tells for when I'm playing, and he's like, "Well, I know you just drew into uninkables." So shame on me. I need to do better about that and having a good poker face in regardless of what's happening. But I'm feeling really bad right now because I draw into 2 daisies and I think another uninkable. No, it was a Gaston. So I'm not at least I got the Gaston, but again, I know Amber Steel is an aggro deck, SteelSong's an aggro deck, but I also don't play it very aggro-y. So seeing the 2 daisies, I'm feeling pretty low right now. And I learned that it's not such a bad thing after all. To double daisy's pretty powerful, but here we inked the Gaston to play the Robin Hood, and I just see it slipping away. He plays the Pegasus. Of course, I draw another uninkable, but I do have Lilo. So unfortunately, I ink the Lilo and go double Daisy. So drawing the uninkable was probably a blessing in disguise because there's a good chance I would have played the Lilo there, like a very bad player. And I don't know. I just got lucky to see that, and then I went double Daisy, and now he's in a really tough place. Things are gonna get really rough for him because that double Daisy's questing for 4. I'm about to get Robin Hood down. He has Ursula. Always assume that green will always have Ursula because they just will. So we see the Robin Hood, really happy about that because now I can ink the Robin Hood to play the big Robin Hood and I can quest for 6 this turn. And so that feels super, super good. I do debate questing here, but ultimately, I believe that when you are on the play, you always quest. They already have a card advantage, like, and when you always quest when you have something like a double daisy, right? Because they already have the card advantage. You might as well just give them more and just try and get out of there because right now I'm questing for 6 per turn. I know I'm going into a crab stage, so that is kind of rough. He could crab and take out Daisy, but he has to have crab. He has to have fox. So we're about to see that he does have crab or he does have fox. Thankfully, I'm happier that it's fox and not crab. But here he does take out a daisy. So that leaves me I would love to top deck a Rapunzel here. Like that would be the best thing in the whole world. That'd make me the happiest human alive. Unfortunately, does not happen. So we do see a strength of a raging fire here. We see 2 strengths of a raging fire. And that feels pretty good because we can just take out the fox and then we can quest for 2 with Daisy again to go to 8. And we are pretty happy. Now, I think there's a possibly a world where I could have just taken out the fox and with Robin Hood to gain 2, but I don't think I needed to. I think casting strength was the right decision there because we're already at 8. We would have gone to 10, but then we have 2 damage on Robin Hood. So he becomes really easy to remove. If he would have had a if he has another fox, then he would have been able to remove Robin Hood and Daisy in the same turn. So that would have felt bad. So I think strength was always the right move there because so he quests with Pegasus and plays another and there's the other fox. So takes out the Daisy. Now we do talk about this after the game. He thinks that he should have taken out the Robin Hood over the Daisies. I think that would have been the mistake because he would have like he would have lost those foxes anyways, and he would have needed 2 foxes to do it. Meanwhile, the daisies would have quested for an extra 4. So I think he did make the right decision overall. Here we take out the fox and cool, quest for 3. I don't know what the other card is in my hand right now. It's a Cindy. Looks That's right because I saw 2 strengths off of the aerial. I only took 1. So we take the fox out so the fox can't trade into aerial. Maybe I could have just used aerial to do that and kept my Robin Hood alive, but I'm also wanting the card draw right now really badly, so I'm not too concerned about it. So, and also by using Robin Hood to take out the fox, that nets me another lore because Ariel gets to quest for 1, and Robin Hood gets the 2 lore from taking out fox. Here, I think, I don't remember. I think he's debating just scooping here, and then that might have been my previous opponent though. I don't remember. We'll kind of just wait to see what happens. Okay, no, he's definitely thinking about playing it out. It was my previous opponent who wanted to scoop, and I was like, hold up, like, play it out. You play it out. So he gains the 4. That feels really bad. I got punished for challenging the fox quite a bit there, but at the same time, now I can still quest. World's Greatest is pretty useless, so we quest for 1. You can see I'm shaking my head again. And we take out the Cursed Merfolk, get that lore. We quest for 2 more. So that feels pretty good. At this point, though, if he has another bounce target, I think he's only on 4 ink, though. So I don't know. I don't think he can bounce it and play Go-Go again, anyways. And that still wouldn't be enough. Like, he has to take out Robin Hood here. Here's where he thinks about scooping. And I kind of like, just let's think about it. Don't jump to conclusions yet. So, yeah, yep. So we talk about it for a little bit, and he's like, "Okay, I'll play it out. Let's see what happens." Because you never know. I'm really notorious for scooping early, And it's you never know what you're gonna draw. Just play it out. If anything, you learn, right? Because you play the game more from really far behind. So just play the game. That's my biggest piece of advice. So he takes the Robin Hood out, and I draw. He's left with, I think he's on 4 ink. So we see the genie. All right. I don't know why my GoPro's having such a hard time right now. So the genie feels pretty good for him. It doesn't help him necessarily right now, but we'll see. He sees the Pete. All I need is a character here. So I do see the character. The Lawrence is the pretty much the nail in the coffin, unfortunately, because here I quest to 18 and the Lawrence gives me that 20. The only thing that could save him here would be an Elsa, but even then Elsa's not enough because he can't clear everything at this point. He would have to go Elsa and Genie into Lawrence, and then Ursula and Pegasus into Cinderella, and then I'm left with Pete and Ariel. So, unfortunately, not quite enough. So, let's go ahead and move on to the third game. All right, going into game 3, ladies and gentlemen. So, how is it going to go? Well, we know how it ends, but how does the match go itself? And we'll get ready to pause it as we go into the mulligan here. So, whole new world. We don't like to see that. All right. So here we go. We see a 2-drop. So I'm already feeling better. But unfortunately, at the cost of seeing a 2-drop, we do not see a 1-drop, which feels really bad. So looking at this hand, we have the Storm Rage on, Strength, Pete, Double Smee, Ariel, and Whole New World. Automatically, Whole New World is gone. If you're playing green, do not ever keep it in your opening hand. Ever, 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 ever. I don't care who you are. I don't care how good you think you are. You do not keep Whole New World. That is just a gamble that's not worth taking because your green purple player is always going for Ursula into the SteelSong mirror. Don't do it. All right, it's not worth the gamble to essentially auto lose the game because you kept Whole New World. Stop it. Don't. Moving on. Always gone. Now, I always keep the Ariel into green purple. That is always going to happen because I'm generally always sending back all of my songs. So I need songs. So that's what Ariel's doing for me. I love seeing Smee. So there's a good argument to keep both Smees or to keep a Pete, Smee, Ariel because the Pete is auto ink in this matchup because they generally don't play actions. So here though, I just decide I want a 1-drop really badly, and so I send it. Just send it, right? So and we get no 1-drops because I can't have a 2-drop and a 1-drop. That would be too nice. So there we go. We have our opening hand. We got some shuffles. Looks like 3 aerials now. He played a Chernobog's. We ink something and we pass because the glare is too strong for us. 3 aerials though, I don't hate it. And the if I can live long enough, then 3 aerials guarantees a lot of opportunity for me. So here I have to make a decision if I'm going to ink the strength or if I'm going to play a game of gambling and luck. But I ink the strength because, well, I hope I do, because Ursula just you never know when it's going to come down. Sweet. And because not playing Ursula, so here's let's talk the game really quick. Why didn't he play Ursulon 2? And most people might already know this. If I don't have a singer on the board, then there's no reason for the green purple player to play Ursula yet. If he would have played Ursula, then he's only questing for 2 going into this turn. If he skips playing Ursula and plays a or a Broom and a Curse Merfolk, he's questing for 3 versus questing for 1. So keep that in mind when you're going to play green purple. If they don't have a singer down, there's no reason for you to play Ursula yet. You're on the play. You go into your turn earlier because now, if he does have Ursula, he can go Ursula and a 1-drop if he really wanted to. And the reason he might do that is because I can hard cast, let the Storm Rage on his Merfolk next turn. So it could be in his best interest to go that route. So moving on though, I'm feeling okay at this point because I like so there's the Ursula that I talked about. There's the 3 the 3 aerials. No Ursula luck for you today. So now he knows though, like he has to go really fast. He knows that he's at a point where if I get those aerials on the board, which I will, then those aerials are guaranteeing the ability to start singing the songs that they pull off of each other. So he knows that he's at a point where it is all gas. There's nothing he can do here but go gas mode and go to town. Now, there is a good argument that he should have kept that cloud kicker because that cloud kicker would have really messed things up for me if I had gone aerial because then I would have lost a singer again and I'm left with just the SME. So, but here, Smee can take out Curse Merfolk. We're happy with that. We get rid of the Naveen because we're not going to need him. Ink the Robin Hood because we're not going to need that. And then we go Smee and Cindy. And so the reason for this, because right now I can just challenge out his board, right? And I don't need the aerials yet. And by going Smee and Cindy, it means that Smee, this one right here, can challenge into something, and then the Cindy can go ahead and sing whatever song I get off of aerial. So it just guarantees a lot more value out of what I can do because these Smees are just going to be able to put in so much work to any character that he lays down. So we're feeling like there's a chance. We're feeling like we're going to be okay at this point, and I'm in a good mood. So let's see how things go here. All right, plays the crab, takes the Smee out, and that is exactly what we want to happen. And we want the aggro player to be trading into us. Is that the right move for them? I don't know. I do know that it doesn't feel great for them to do so. Play the aerial, hoping to see a strength, and we do. We hate to see two, but we see one, so we sing it, and now we have the board. The board is ours, and we feel good because they only got to 7 at this point. So we ink Lilo because we're not going to need it ever, and we pass turn. Put that damage on the Smee. Come on, move it. Let's see it. Come on. All right, plays the aerial or plays the Ursula. I sees 2 aerials. There we go. Yay. Okay, nice. Okay, so the fox feels good. He simply just played that just so he can be able to take out the Cindy, which is very good for him. And also he gets a 4-3 on the board. But we get blessed. We see Let the Storm Rage On. SteelSong is always there for me. All right, because here we play Aerial again, and this is where I did make a mistake. I should have just played the Robin Hood and passed. I forgot. It just happened, but I forgot that he bounced that Ursula, and so just a critical mistake on my part. I should have just played Robin Hood and passed the turn. At the same time, uh, I do have 2 Singer 5s down now. So that is helpful because if I see a whole new world at this point, then that's really really good for me because I can do anything with the songs I get. And but I do in hindsight, I do think that it would have been a good move just to play Robin Hood and pass. So here we go aerial again because we can take out anything we want. We see whole new world. We're again, so like I was saying, so I get punished for taking that Let the Storm Rage on, but now with whole new world, the fact that I have that aerial down, it really comes in really strong here because odds are I should see another song at this point, even if I don't, because that's just how it goes sometimes. I don't know what my hand is because it's in a really bad place. So you guys are in for as much as a surprise as I am. But we definitely have a Robin Hood. Let the Storm Rage On is down there. And there is a World's Greatest Criminal Mind, Rapunzel. So I wonder what I'm. There we go. Okay, I don't really know what I'm debating. The answer here is always just play Robin Hood, because I don't have the singers to be able to cast let this or double Strength of a Raging Fire. So the answer is just always play the Robin Hood down. Maybe I'm debating casting one Let the Storm Rage On, but that would be silly as well. So we just play the Robin Hood, and now do I quest or not is the question. Smee can't, of course. He has Reckless from Lyle, but looks like we just go ahead and pass. So I was really hoping to be able to take out Lyle there. It is unfortunate that I couldn't, but I do have the ability to take out Lyle next turn now. So that feels pretty good, unless he bounces that Ursula again, and that would be, and he does. So that's always tons of fun for me. But again, if they're doing that over and over and over again, then that's not the end of the world for us. Here, I have a good option. I can either Rapunzel the Smee, or I can just ink it and go really, really wide and play Whole New World this next turn. And I think that's the route I go. But let's see what other shenanigans he does. So plays the broom. He sees that Whole New World, so he just needs to go wide and go play as many characters as he can. So pass it. Smee's not exerted, so we change that up a little bit. So he'd given Smee Reckless, but he didn't have any characters, so it couldn't do his thing. So we see the big Cindy, and this feels bad. Like, so there's a lot of different options here. I could have just inked World's Greatest Criminal Mind, and okay, so it looks like that is the route I take, and I get blessed. I see the Strength of a Raging Fire, so we blow up the Lyle. That feels really good, and I'm hoping. I almost give myself -1 lore. I had to double check about Lyle if it includes himself, and it does not. So it looks like I'm still going to go the wheel route because Cinderella is just too slow. I couldn't get Cinderella down for another two until next turn, and then it might just be too late. So that was weird. I think I could have been fine if I just inked World's Greatest Criminal Mind and quested with everything and then passed. And I think I would have been perfectly okay there because Cinderella, I get Cinderella down next turn. He's only at 8. So I think there's a good argument to just going that route. But I see 2 wheels in hand, and that doesn't make me feel good either. So we take on the broom and now I know exactly what I need to do. The only question is, do I do it this turn or do I do it next turn when I can utilize the ink best? So looks like I do wait. I could quest with the Robin Hood. I might be forgetting that I have the Robin Hood over there, but I also might just be guaranteeing that the Robin Hood lives so I can sing wheel into the Robin Hood shift line, which would feel pretty good. I have that Ariel, so looks like I'm just gonna quest with her as well because nope. I get Do I not quest? I should be questing with Ariel and Robin Hood here. Like, look, I have this huge board. Like, there's no reason for me not to be, and there's nothing he can do with the ink he has to remove everything, to just go to town. So I should be removing them. I should be questing. I did not. And that's sure. It is what it is. Moving on. Because so if I had quested there, I'd be at 8, 9. I'd be at 9 right now. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. I'd have 20 on board to guarantee that he has to trade into me. So he gives Reckless to that Smee, so he can't quest next turn. I lose 1 lore. Sure, I still should have quested. So it would just, yeah. You always remember when you're playing SteelSong, you like look at this board. Like there's no reason that I shouldn't be questing and going to town and gaining all of that free lore. So again, I'm in a great position, but I just didn't use that position as well as I could have. So, all right. Quest with Ursula just needs to get the lore. He knows that. Here, at this point, it's just ink Rapunzel and wheel, or ink World's Greatest and wheel. Either one. Now, I could just play Rapunzel, right? But there's just better things that I could do. So he had some cards. And now I have 7 ink. I have 7 ink and 2 Singer 5s and a Singer 4. I can do just about anything I want at this point. And even just questing out at this point, if I can just play. So, we take out the Lyle. Yep, take out the Lyle. That's the most dangerous thing he has, in my opinion. And then we have a Lawrence. So we can drop the Rapunzel. But looks like we go Ariel because why not? And probably just digging to take out the genie, but that doesn't happen. So now we can go Lawrence and Cindy. And then what I should have done is gone Lawrence and Rapunzel instead of Lawrence and Cindy. They still quest for 4, but it just, I guess it doesn't matter. It's uh, eh, mm, yeah. So just quest out, go big, and then now he has to clear the majority of the board because he never has enough with Go-Go. He could deal damage to Genie, right? Or Rapunzel, but he doesn't have characters to be able to do that. So there's just nothing he can do at this point. Yeah. No foxes, no crabs, unfortunately. And that's how we take it. So awkward handshake because it's COVID happened and no one knows if you shake or hand fist bump anymore. But ultimately, that was the game. All right. That was how it went. And we got the champ mat. We feel pretty good. We're pretty happy. It sucks that I had to play, one of our regulars for it, but it was a really good match. And yeah, I learned quite a bit from it and definitely rewatching it. But let's talk the Disney trivia. So, ladies and gentlemen, the Disney trivia, what was your name again? We were talking about villains. And what are some of the villains that we never hear their name from the characters in the show? Well, one of them is going to be Mother Gothel. Mother Gothel is only mentioned by the narrator. And so that comes up, and that's from Tangled. We hear Mother Gothel from the narrator, but we never hear the characters say it. And then in Princess and the Frog, Doctor Facili Fus crap. Well, the doctor, the bad guy, Friends on the Other Side, Mr. Friends on the Other Side, we we only hear himself refer to himself by his name. We never hear any of the characters refer to himself either. And then as well, the person who posted this also let us know that in Cinderella, Lady Tremaine, we only hear the daughters mention the name, but we don't hear it from anyone else. So just a fun bit of Disney trivia from Jared Menard, and I really liked that one. So again, if you guys have a cool piece of Disney trivia, put it in the comments, let me know. Don't forget to check out this video. If you saw other misplays, let me know in the comments. But yeah, it was a fun match, really good time. Glad I got my Scar play mats. And yeah, ladies and gentlemen, above all else, remember, always stay happy and healthy, and I'll see you around.